.6 from first against Kane Navarro, who is the semi-pro fishing MLF and that type of stuff. And then .1 from second place against Dylan Poller, who I have the most respect for. He's a great fisherman, absolute hammer. And then .1 from Big Fish. So for my second tournament ever, I'm actually pretty happy with how I did. Given the fact that I was able to keep up with Kane Navarro and Dylan Poller, I was quite happy with that. So that tournament at San Vicente, that was truly amazing. That was super fun. Just a one-day tournament that time. I was fishing with one other kid who I was competing against on the boat, whose boat, we were on Kevin Norling's boat. He's a local here in San Diego. Great fisherman, fishes ABA, MLF, occasionally, that type of stuff. Amazing fisherman. Loved him, learned a lot from him. We started off the morning fishing spinnerbaits, no luck, fishing the aqueduct, that type of stuff. Nothing with that. Then we went and Kevin had just told us to pick some spots. He's like, just go shallow because they're spawning. So we found some flats, fished those flats. I caught my 5 decently quick, so then I got backboated. So the other kid in the boat, John, the 17-year-old, he could catch up, which is kind of a bummer because I think I could have caught a bigger bag, but that's just fishing. I'm so grateful for the people who make that happen for us that don't have boats, who put on tournaments, the local fishermen in the community who let us go on their boats and drive us around, and that's just truly amazing, and I can't be so grateful, just so grateful for everybody who does that in our community, and I just want to thank them. And I want to thank you guys for supporting me and for supporting my YouTube channel and my Fish Brain and all that. We're almost 1,000 followers on Fish Brain. And then that tournament, San Vicente, was just super fun. The tournament put on food after, picnic, everything. Big drive-in, weigh-in. I finished with 12.33 pounds out of the 40, which I was really happy with. All of our fish were on beds, or all of mine were. John, the kid in my boat, he caught one keeper not on a bed, but I caught some dinks not on beds, but all my keepers are on beds. Drop shotting on the beds, because I didn't want to take the time to rig up a different rod. So I had my drop shot, and I had Kevin's drop shot on a bait caster. I was drop shotting roboworms and flukes, and then tubes, and that went pretty well. I caught a 3.5 pounder and a 3 pounder. 3.5 pounder, I missed a hook set on 3 times. Then I went, and for some weird reason, when I had casted, I'd actually turned the brakes down on accident the cast before, like way down, like really way down, so I backlashed, and right when I did that, of course, 3 pounder decides to bite. So with all the slack in my line, I just run down the boat like this, run down and set the hook, and I'd already missed it 3 times. I'm like, it's gonna come off again. Somehow I keep it pinned. Fights, jumps, the reel's not reeling because of the terrible backlash, because I'd bumped the settings. And then I just grabbed the line, hand line them, and Kevin nets her. So that was my kicker. Nice fish on the drop shot tube. Then just catching more dinks, catching 2 pounders, 1 pounders to fill out the limit, all males. A 3.5 pounder was a female. Then I pulled up to this really steep bank. John caught the male, and then there's this big rock where John caught the male off of with the female on it. The female first had no interest, absolutely none, with the tube. I probably fished that fish for half an hour without any interest. Another 3 pounder. And then all of a sudden it started getting a little more interested. And then it started doing laps around the boat, looking at the transducer, kind of figuring things out, but at the same time I think is getting really pissed off. Really mad. And then eventually it got to the point where it was so mad I was just dropping it, right? Picking it back up right in front of the fish's face. So if this is the fish's face, I drop it past, then I bring it back up so it'd be right here with the fish. And I just wiggle that tube right in front of her, like an inch from her face, and she'd bite it every time. she bit it probably 20, 30 times, just biting the tail, and I wouldn't set the hook, or she'd just go, just suck in a ton of water with the bait and spit it back out, and I wouldn't get to set the hook. And then she ate the weight probably 10 times. She ate my bait probably 30, 40 times. And then eventually, I twitched it right in front of her face, and she just tried to take it off the bed, but she grabbed the hook and boom, just set the hook. 20-pound line. It was on a Mentanium DC that I was using, Kevin's Mentanium DC, the older version with a Poison Adrena, and then 20-pound test, and that thing took me all the way around the trolling motor and just went straight down into the trees. Just tried to dig and dig and dig and dig. I got it out, and then just, yeah, sick. It jumped, and I was so afraid it was going to come off. It jumped right at the boat, and then Kevin netted it, and as he netted it, the hook came out. Like, jumped, net, hook came out, and it fell into the net. So it was perfect. Perfect timing. Good thing I hooked that fish, landed it, and then the rest of the fish of that tournament were just like 2-pounders. But 12.33 is what I ended with. Super fun day of just drop shotting flukes and tubes and stuff. I mean, we saw probably 200, 300 bedfish. Just like half-pounders though. 6 inchers, 8 inchers. Just put the trolling motor on high and just go down. Go down the bank, down the flats. We were seeing bedfish like 40, 50 feet off the bank. Some were 6 inches off the bank. Others were, 3, 4 feet off the bank. And just my biggest tip, bed fishing, that was one of my first times actually. Just stay persistent. Just work a fish, because the longer you work them, the more pissed off they get. They just get mad, and mad. And generally, you can just kind of stick with the same bait. If not, I mean, you can change it up, but really just, I'd say a drop shot is always good to have with either a tube bait or a Roboworm always works good. Purple is good because you can see it. White is good. If you're fishing white, I recommend spiking, as in taking a highlighter almost, like the yellow pens, or just dipping it in yellow, the tail, so you can see it a little better. And yeah, I didn't fish anything other than that whole day, but other stuff, white Icas, black Icas, some of my favorite bed baits. Nothing else really other than that I like for bed fishing. Your standard stuff, jigs, Texas rigs, that type of stuff. Ned rigs always work well. Dark sleepers are actually some of my favorite swim baits. You can just run them by and get them really mad and then pitch in something smaller. I think that's it. I actually don't have a package. Probably one of the best bed baits. The Do Realist rubber jig. Tiny little finesse jig, works amazing. Love this thing. It's actually rubber head, 5 grams, but definitely recommend picking some of those up. But yeah, super fun tournament and all. I was fishing drop shots on 12 actually, or no, 10. Yeah, 10. 10 and 6, depending if the bed was in sticks or what, but the majority of them came on 10. It was on my Californian, which I have right here. It was 7-foot Californian, medium, 0.500 Exceller, 20-pound braid, 10-pound Seaguar. This is what I had on. And then Surgeon's Knot for connection. I also had, I caught a couple Senko fish on my Italian Iconic rod with a Daiwa Tatulo 100. And then I was fishing my stepdad's Maxim with my 2500 Daiwa Riveros. I was fishing a shaky head on that. I had a couple small hits on that, and then I had my medium light 7-foot Californian for Nico rigging. That was about it. Super fun tournament. Yeah, just want to thank all the boaters and the community that made that possible. I can't express how grateful I am for that, because as a bank fisherman, I've always wanted to be bass fishing tournaments on a boat, and for the community to just offer that for children and just to offer that and go out of their way to make that possible for us. I'm just so touched by that. I truly can't express my gratitude. So thank you to the community of San Diego for doing that. The fishermen in San Diego are truly amazing. I just want to thank everybody for that. And I want to thank YouTube for the support. I want to thank everybody. I'm so grateful. Can't express how grateful I am. And thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Let's go catch some more fish.